Hey, good luck and welcome to Daf Yomi, Maseches Chagigah, Daf Chav Gimel 23. A little behind, we'll do 23 and 24 tonight. Of course, I have turned into a chef, a baker. I'm not really sure the difference between the hats of a chef and a baker. I just watched an unfortunate ending to the season of the YU Maccabees basketball team. I was an alum of YU, Yeshiva University. I was very proud of their basketball team. But they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. March Madness. That makes you mad, huh? Pretty mad about this. But we have some great shiurim coming up for you this week. Tonight, as you know, because we're learning with Chagigah, it's always a party. So it's funny, my daughter, this is actually, it doesn't really fit me so well. I was supposed to wear it, I think, straight, but I wore it a little angle because this really was given to my daughter who's 3 years old by her gan, by her nursery. And she told me afterwards she knows that I wear her costume sometimes on my shear. She said, talk to your dad. And she said, you can wear this during your shear. She also gave me an apron. I'm not wearing it because you're not going to see it when I'm sitting down. But this is the apron that I could technically wear. She said, you could use it during your shear. She knows she lets me use her paraphernalia during my shear. And that's amazing. And my daughter is so supportive of my shear. Also, my daughter, she took out from, my parents gave her like $1,000 on her birth just to start her off. She donated it all to me. They didn't give her the money and she didn't donate it to me. But we have a great shiur tomorrow. It's going to be an unbelievable shiur. We have a surprise. The hint is ice cream. Ice cream. All right, we have 2 dafim to do now. It's 10:45 here. Gotta rush it in. All right, the bottom of Chav Beis and Beis on the bottom. No says a medrash, no says a truma below as a kodesh. Someone who carries a medrash. Medrash is something which you sit on and makes you tummy. You can carry truma but not kodesh, and normally there's no problem carrying something while you're carrying something else. But kodesh are machmir. The Gemara says kodesh my time alone. What's the reason? There was an incident that happened. Amar Yudam Shmuel Ma'isa Be'echash Ayamaver Chavish Al Kodesh Makom Makom. Was a person carrying a barrel of consecrated wine. Someone was makdish to the base of Midrash. V'nifska ritzua tabuchav gimel alav. V'nifska ritzua shal sandalo. And a strap of his sandal broke. V'natla v'hinicha pichavis. He put it on top of the barrel. V'natla over achavis. It actually fell into the airspace of the barrel. V'nitmes. And the whole barrel became tummy because when you have tuma inside the airspace of a barrel, it makes all the wine tummy. And they obviously didn't realize about that. And they ate consecrated wine. They drank consecrated wine. Also, Shamru, no says a medrash, no says a truma v'los kodesh. They said because there's an incident, this happened, there's a mistake. A medrash, right? Your shoe is a medrash. It's something which you wear, you lean your weight on. So therefore, because it fell in the airspace of the chavis, they're machmir. So the Gemara says, Yahachi truma nami. If we're worried about such incidents, we're worried about truma also. It could happen also to truma. The Gemara says, Tamani Rebchanani ben Akavihi. The Amor Loasru El Biyardim Svinok Meister Haya. It's like the opinion of Chanan ben Akavi, who says when they have weird instances which happen that the Rabbanim Rechoshesh for, we only assert exactly the way it happened. Mahi, what is this case of Chanan ben Akavi? The Sanya Lo Yisa Adam Mechat Svei for Chatas V'Avirim Biyardim Svina. A person can't take water that you're going to prepare the Mechatas with, right? You have to mix Efer Chatas, the ashes from the Paraduma, in water, consecrated water. And you mix it together and you splash it on a person 3rd and 7th day for Matayr and Tumas Amay. So if you have the water separate and you haven't mixed it yet, the ashes separate, you can't cross Yardim and you can't get to the Jordan River. You can't cross over from Jordan to Israel to Jordan, or whatever, I'll call it Palestine, whatever the area is. Can't bring it across, only in a boat, in a svina, in a boat. Lo yamod b'sad zeh. Tanakama holds you also can't stay on one end of the Jordan, on one bank of the Jordan. And throw it over the Jordan. You can't let it float in a bottle in the water. You can't cross the yard. We'll see also Tanakama holds not just the yard, in any body of water. You can't ride on an animal. The animal walks in the water and you ride on its back. You can't go on the friend of your the back of your friend and he'll cross the water. And again, you're raglav nogas bakarka unless you actually walk through the water. I guess the water's not deep enough in that place. If there's a bridge crossing over the Jordan, a river, then you could. Tanakama holds even whether it applies not just the Jordan River, what incident we'll see happen, but also any other body of water. Only exactly if it's exact characteristics of what happened, exact details of what happened. It was the Jordan River, and it was in a boat. What happened? He was carrying again water and the ashes separately, and crossing the Jordan River. It was svina in a boat. It ended up being there was a little piece of flesh, human flesh that was dead human flesh, underneath the hull of the boat. And when they passed the Mechatas and Erechatas over the area where the Kazayas was, so they acted as an OL over the Mechatas, over the Kazayas mace. And Matame Mechatas is the most severe. Bosa Shah, once this terrible incident happened, Amru, again, they sprinkled obviously this water, they made ash water, and they sprinkled it on top of mace. And later on, they found that he realized one tar, big problems happened. At that time, they said, "Oh, you can't do that." According to Rabbi Akiva, only, like we said before, only the Jordan River and only in a boat. Is that only talking about, in the first incident, we asked her by a sandal, we said you can't carry a medras with Kodesh. Is that only talking about where sandal, which is Tameh? What about if the sandal is tor? Chavis psucha, chavis tuma. What about if the barrel is open? I mean, it is closed. The case was, this is only according, the Gemara really seems to be only asking according to Chananim and Akav. He says exactly, it has to be exact case. So let's say the sandal is tar. Would you ask her that case? And we also asked her in the chavis, so the barrel is closed, so there's no chashash going to go in. The Gemara doesn't answer these two questions. And then the Gemara has a third question. Well, let's say he crossed over the Yarden. Is the Mechadas considered tar? Now, they checked, they found there's no tumah on that boat, but they made Xera, you can't use it. Rabbi Leila Amar Imavara Vinasa Tami. He says, but the evidence is Tami, they still asked it. Zera Amar Avar Vinasa Tar. Even if he crossed over, he did it with the Eved, it's still Tar, as long as you didn't do a Lechatchila. You're not supposed to do a Lechatchila, but the Eved, it's still Tar. Kelim and Igmarim B'Tara. So he said, Kalim, they're finished. When you finish making them, they're made B'Tara. So we said by Kodesh, we have to be Tovel them, and by Truma, you don't have to be Tovel them. The Gamrin Human. The Choram discussed what level of Tumah we discussed, or we haven't discussed. Rishon Tumah, that's an Avad Tumah, Aviyavos Tumah is a dead person. Avad Tumah, sometimes that touches a dead person, or Sheretz is an Avad Tumah, but the dead bug. Anything which touches the Avad Tumah becomes Rishon Tumah. Someone touches something, touches a Rishon Tumah, becomes a Shein Tumah, Shein Tumah becomes a Shlish Tumah. You can only have a Shlish of the Tumah, Lagabe Truma, a Reveal Tumah, Lagabe Kodesh, and a Chamish Tumah, Lagabe the Mechatas. So these Kela and Igmarim B'Tara, they're considered a Sheni according to Moshe Haram. The Gamrinu Man, Elaine, who finished the Elaine with the Gamrinu Chaver, if a reputable person, Chaver, someone in the Knesset. They called Chaver HaKnesset, the members of the Knesset called Chaver HaKnesset. He's a Chaver, he's your friend, he's a good guy. Lamal, you know the guy, you know he's an honest guy. Lamal Lahu Tefillah, why do you have to do Tefillah? He's a Torah person. On the Gamrinu Amaret, it must be an Amaret like me. He finished it. I made kalim. I like to make a lot of kalim over here. I don't make any kalim. No, I'm not into woodworking. So if an Amaris was Gomer, Nigmar and Betara Karli, why are you calling the Mishnah calls it as Gomer Betara? It was really Gomer Betuma. It was an Amaris finished him. He's assumed. We're not sure if an Amaris is Tamei or Tar. We assume he's Tamei. Amar Rav Bar Shela, Amar Rav Mas, Amar Shmuel Olam, the Gamrinu Chaver. Really, a reputable person. The Chaver, he's not an Amaris. Mishum Sinur of the Amaris and Afal. We're concerned that some of the spit of an Amaris who had passed by him fell on the Kli while it was being Nigmar Amos. Ilema Makami Ligmarei, if it fell before he actually finished the Kli Halav Manahu. At that point, it's not a Kli, it's not Makabal Tuma. Only is Makabal Tuma something after the Gemar Kli. Elabasar the Gamrei, if it fell, the spit fell after he finished it. Mizra Zar Bahu. He's a chaver. He's going to be careful that the Amar doesn't, once he finishes, that the Amar shouldn't let it spit on it. Lola Makami, the Gamri really is talking about he wasn't careful because the spit came on it before he finished. Dilma Be'idna, the Gamri Adayan Lecha. It was still wet, the spit, so therefore, since it was still wet, it could transmit Tuma after the Kli was finished. So the Gemara has a Tvila in Herav Shemesh Lo. The Gemara has a Dayik that you need to be Tovel it for Kodesh. But you don't have to. You can use the kli once you have tovel. You don't have to wait for sunset. Also, this is in the local Rav Lezer. Where our notes, this is not like Rav Lezer. The sun shofer shechaskel achatas. Let's say you have a reed that you would take. You sprinkle the mechatas. You have a reed. It's a small, I don't know, like a small tube that you want to take the mechatas and you want to sprinkle it on somebody, right? So you cut it in half in order to make a kli, right? Rav Lezer Omer Yitbol Miyad. He says you should be tovel it when you make this kli. You be tovel it right away. Yeshua Omer Yitma B'Yachar Yitbol. Yeshua says, we're going to see later on why he says you should be tamei it like with the sheretz, and then you should be tovel. Avinu Ba the Chascha man who cut this reed in half. He made a gemar kli. You live in the Chascha Chaver Lamli Tvila. Why do you have to tovel in the first place? Oh, the Chacham Aretz. If the Aretz finished it. Bahal Emer Yeshua Yitma B'Yitbol. Why does he have to say Yeshua say that he has to be tamei and tovel? We know in Aretz is tamei. Tamei v'kai. It's already tamei. Amar Rav Bashel, Amar Rav Masa, Amar Shmuel. Olam the Chascha Chaver. Really, the Chaver cut it and he finished. Mishum Sinur Dam Aretz enough. Mishum Sinur Dam Aretz. The spit of Dam Aretz might have got on it. Nafal Amos. When did it fall on? The lichdacha before he cut it. Halav man. It wasn't a gemar kli. It can't become tamei. Bela Basar the Chascha. If the spit got on it after he cut it, Mizer Zayir, but he's a chaver. He's careful not to let the Amar spit on it. He wasn't careful before it finished, and by accident the spit on Arts got on it. And the concern is that maybe after he finished making the reed, the pipe, the tube, the vial, it's still wet, it's still moist. It's matame. The stam metamina yuas zakona service apart the hotzim limishas adukan sheyomrim ma'ara vehashemesh haisa nasis. We know from the first Mishnah in Yuma, if you were with me in Mesechus Yuma, I did start really my shiur in Mesechus Yuma. I was doing with Ben Sion then. The first daf on Daf Beis with Aleph in Mesechus Yuma talks about this thing that really, even though normally for Kudshim you want to Kudshim, you normally certain tumos you have to do. Tvila, you have to go into a mikvah, and you have to Herav Shemesh, and you have to bring a korban. Chosar Kippurim, you have to actually bring a korban before you can eat Kodesh. But for Mechatas, which normally is more Chamar, you can even have a Chamisha Latuma. There's a Kula over here that for Mechatas, you just do Tvila. Once the Kohen Hagadol does Tvila, the Kohen does Tvila, he's already tore to sprinkle the Mechatas. So they used to metame that common service apart because the Sedukim believe no, you have to have Herav Shemesh, you have to do Tefillah, and you have to wait till sunset. So therefore they were metame him to show the Sedukim that even though he's really tamei, right, to make sure the Sedukim might say, oh, the reason he's just doing Tefillah is because he's not really tamei. No, he's really tamei, and still we're not going to wait till Herav Shemesh to show them that you don't do Herav Shemesh. The Kohen service apara, he does not need Herav Shemesh. If you say normally you need Herav Shemesh, if by this case, when you finish a kli, the case in our Mishnah, when you finish making a kli, so you need Herav Shemesh, that's Rav Lezer's Shita, and that's why, according to Lezer, says you don't have to be matame, you don't have to expressly be matame, go ahead and wait to be matame. So therefore there's a Heker Sedukin because there's Herav Shemesh. So they're not going to make a mistake. If they're really the halach in our Mishnah, when you finish a kli, you don't need Herav Shemesh. My Keir Tzedukin. According to Rishua, is Matame, it's a Keir Tzedukin. But according to Rabbi Lezer, it's not Keir Tzedukin. Must be Lezer holds. It must be a Mishnah like Lezer. Amarav. My answer is Amarav Asua Katame Sheretz. They made, the Rabbanan made it like when you finish a kli, it's like a Tamei Sheretz, meaning a sheretz touch there, which will make it a rishon l'tuma. El ma'ata. So whereas el ma'ata l'tatame adam. If it's like a tamei sheretz, so therefore it shouldn't be matame a person. Alama tanya choscha matbila toan tefila. The person who cuts the reed and is tovel, he himself needs tefila. So we see it's matame and adam. Adam is not only kunam rishon l'tuma, it can't become a sheni l'tuma if something touches him. Ela so katame meis. The goes back, or they really made it when you finish a kli, it's like you become a tamei mace. You're touched by a mace, which makes you an avatuma. Therefore, if you're an avatuma, so you should need, it's like you touch a dead person, so that you're an avatuma, you should need hazah shlishi v'shvi. It says when you finish this reed, you cut it in half, so now that it's utensil, so you could use it as a vial to sprinkle the mechadas, ton tefillah. All you need is to be tovel the mikvah, or the person only needs tefillah. Tefillah in hazal shlishi b'shvila. You don't need sprinkling on the third and seventh day. Allah so kitami meis b'shvi shalom. They made it like a tami meis on his seventh day. So the Gemara says, "V'atanya ma'olam lo chidru davar apart." They never made something new by para aduma. This would be a new thing over here to make it like the shvi shalom. I mean, that's a new thing. You normally have shlishi b'shvi. Amar Abaye shalom amru kordom v'tami moshav. When they said that lo chidru davar apart, that was only talking about not in terms of the counting, but in terms of how something becomes tamei. They didn't say a kordom is an axe. If you sit on an axe or you sit on a mattock, you don't become tamei. It's not a time moshav. Normally, if you sit on something, that's something that's normally sat on. So therefore, you transmit whatever tumah you have, your original tumah, you make the moshav that same tumah. You're gonna have a tumah, you make the moshav what you sit on and have a tumah. Kedesanya yoshev ala kli. It says in the pasuk, this person who sits on a kli, yachal kafa savi yashav. Maybe you could just turn over a bread basket or tirkav or a pita basket. Yashav. You hate tamei. That's not right. It's a basket. Maybe you can sit on that. You'll make a tamei. Tamalor with a tamei moshe. Tamalor yoshev al kli. Yoshev al kli. Asher yashav alav yitma. Repeats the word yeshiva twice. Yeshiva yatzeh she'omru lo amod v'nasam lachtenu. Any kli where people say get up, we need to put the bread in, so therefore it's not going to be considered a moshav. It will get the tumah of touching it. It wouldn't get the same tumah as the one who sat on it. So therefore, that's the chiddush by part of the chadish davar, that because of that pasuk. But in terms of making it like a shvi shalo, that was okay. Ends up being like the Gemara proved that the Gemara proved that our Mishnah can be Rabbi Elazar, and that seems to be the maskan of the Gemara. So the Gemara says, "Hakli mitzarif mash besocho lakodesh avalol truma." The kli makes something. Let's say you have a utensil, you have a bowl or something like that, and part of it becomes tamei. Now, even though let's say you have two pieces of meat in the bowl, or two pieces of meat in a pan, right? And one is kodesh, or the pan is kodesh, and one of the pieces of meat is kodesh. It's not touching something else, so the pan is mitzaref, so the other thing becomes tamei also. But truma, if you have a roll of truma in there, made from wheat of truma, if it's in the same bowl as something else, it's not touching it, it's not going to be tamei. But not immediately. Why are we mahmir for kodesh? Amar Rav Chanan Amar Kra Kaf Achas Asara Zahav Leach Torah. This is talking about the Nesiim when they gave over their donation to the Beis Hamikdash. Hakasuv Nasav L'Kol Mash B'Kaf Achas. The fact that the Torah goes out and says kaf achas, kaf is singular, so you don't have to say the word achas. It talks about these silver ladles that they put in the Ketores, and they donated with the Ketores. Even though parts of the Ketores of these different spices are not touching each other, because they're all in one kli, and we know Ketores is kodesh, something which is used in the Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, everything becomes one. It's the Oraisa. The Gemara Mezer of Kahana, Hosi Rabbi Akiva, Solas Factora to Lavona V'Chalim. We see in a brisa, Rabbi Akiva adds on. We'll see what he adds on. He adds someone else says previously, solas, which is talking about fine flour, ketores, is what we mentioned before. The spices they burn to the mizbeach hazav, alavona, frankincense they put on top. What exactly it is, I'm not really sure. Some white stuff they put on top with the lechem aponim, gecholim, coals, shem naga tful yom mixaso. Tful yom is someone who went to the mikvah, but he didn't have hair of shemesh yet. Mixaso pasal es kulo. If he touches a little bit, he passes everything. How did Rabbanan he? And Rabbi Akiva was hosted. That statement was the Rabbanan. How do you know he's talking about the Rabbanan level? This is Reisha at the beginning of this price of the Rabbi Akiva. Hey, Rishon Meseral Efer Chatas Shenaga Tamid Mixaso Shetime es kulo. Comes to Efer Chatas, used for sprinkling on a tamei mace. If a tummy touches part of it, it's matame everything. And we know over there, there's no makor. We only say a makor doraisa for kodesh. By efer chatas, there's no makor doraisa that what's in part of the pan is matame the other pan, the other part. Like Tani Hosi for Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is adding on to what Shimon Masera said. So Shimon Masera was saying the Rabbanan, so Rabbi Akiva was also saying the Rabbanan. So how could you learn into Gemara's mashma? It's not a daraisa, it's a Rabbanan. Amar Shlach Shum Bar Kapara, top of Kavdal Rav, Lo Nisracha El Shayara Mincha. So he says Lo Nisracha El Shayara Mincha. Rabbi Akiva's statement, when he includes Ketoras, he only talking about Shayari Mincha, which is talking about when you bring a Karban Mincha. So Karban Mincha is Kodesh. But when you have it in the Kli, then you take a kometz, that you take three fingers full. You take 3 fingers full, and what's left is Shayari Mincha. That's not Kodesh anymore. The rice is Sarach L'Kli Kli Mitzarfo. Shein Sarach L'Kli and Kli Mitzarfo. This pasuk, Kaf Achas, only tells me things which are needed to be in the Kli. So therefore, the Korban Mincha, all the flour before he takes the kometz. So therefore, it's all Kodesh. But after he takes the kometz, Shayari Mincha, Midaraisa, that's not Sarach L'Kli anymore. It doesn't have to be in the Kodesh anymore. The Atzur Rabbanon, and that's what he's talking about. Rabbi Akiva, Gazru, the Apagav, the Sarach L'Kli, Kli Mitzarfo. So you see that Rabbi Akiva was talking about a Rabbanon level. He don't talk about the Shari Mincha. That's the solas he was talking about. The Torahs could be on the Daraisa level. The Gemara says, Tenach solas, Torahs, Lavona, Ma'ikal, Meimar. Where do we find by the Rabbanon and by Torahs and Lavona? Amar of Nachman, Amar of Vuah, Sibran al Gabe Kartabla. It's talking about not when you put it in a kli, you put it on a leather belt or a leather, not in a kli where it has a toch and it has a receptacle. It's just on a flat piece of leather. The rice is yeshla toch mitzarif. Ein lo toch, ein lo mitzarif. The rice it's called a kaf. A kaf is a spoon. It has a receptacle there, and it's the rice. Whatever is in the kli, it's mitzarif. It's metamed also. Asur rabbanon v'tiknu yeshla toch mitzarif. Ein lo toch, ein lo mitzarif. The rice it's not mitzarif unless it has a toch. Asur rabbanon v'tiknu avagav the ein lo toch mitzarif. The Rambam is sakin, even though it doesn't have a toch. It's on a leather belt. It's mitame the Rabbanan. That's what Rabbi Akiva was talking about. Pliga the Rav Chanina, the Rabbi Akiva Barabba. Rav Chanina argues on Rav Akiva Barabba. Rav Akiva Barabba, Rav Yochanan may do Rabbi Akiva Mishnah Zu. He says that when our Mishnah says that by Kodesh or Kli Mitzarif, whatever is Mitzochot, and make it Tamei also, that was from Rabbi Akiva's Eidos, which is we know is the Rabbanan. More approved on Chav Gimel and Beis. It's the Rabbanan. So therefore, he would completely argue. Rabbi Akiva would completely argue on Chanan. There is no Makor D'Oraisa. He wouldn't learn this pasuk. Kavachaz Razam Leak Torahs would not teach you that D'Oraisa there's Siruf by Kodesh. Hope you enjoyed that share. We're coming back in 10 seconds with Daf Chav Dalid. I'll still be with the head.